Should Tagalog and Bisaya simply be known as regional dialects that are part of the same language, or should they be referred to as their own separate language? This also goes for the other 120 plus different regional dialects / languages of the Philippines. Are they languages or simply just dialects part of the same language? In this video we're going to be looking into this and finding out whether they are or not. If you're new here, welcome to this channel. My name is Will. I do videos about culture, language and lifestyle. It has been a while since I've last done a video about languages, and I do enjoy making these videos a lot. They also seem to do better in terms of support that I get from them, so I'm excited to do this video, and especially about this topic as well. So most Filipinos have been brought up to believe that they only have one native language and that the rest are all dialects. They have two national languages, Filipino and English, and then Tagalog is the standard way of speaking Filipino, and then Bisaya, Ilocano, Bicol, and then the other 120 dialects are simply regional dialects of Filipino language. But if you look up the definition of what languages and dialects are and look up the difference, it's kind of a different story. Now, there are different interpretations of what should be called dialects and shouldn't. One definition of dialects and languages is that language is the method of human communication, either spoken or written, consisting of the use of words in a structured and conversational way. Dialect, on the other hand, is a variety of language distinguished by grammar, pronunciation or vocabulary, spoken in a specific area by a specific group of people. This is the main difference between language and dialect. Now, a more simple way of putting this, and what most interpretations are, is that if two ways of speaking are mutually intelligible, both spoken and with the standard ways of writing, these are different dialects of the same language. An example of this could be US English and British English. Regardless of what country these ways of speaking are from, they are part of the same language. They're obviously both English, but they might have some words that are different and some spellings that are different, but for the most part they're completely understandable with each other and they're similar, but they are different dialects. Some English speakers would struggle to understand Scottish English, especially Glaswegian English, which has a very strong dialect, but it is still English. And if you saw it written down, you would be able to understand it. It's just when you hear it spoken verbally, it can be hard to understand if you're not used to it. However, like I said, it's still English, it's just a dialect, and quite a good example of what a dialect is. Dialects can have different words, but for the most part they are mutually intelligible with the language that they come from. I'd strongly recommend you check out a video from Lang Focus, who explains the difference between languages and dialects, and then he also gives his own definition at the end of what a dialect is. I'll show you a clip of this video so you know what I'm talking about.
A dialect is that it's mutually comprehensible with another variety of language. So if you can communicate with them, they understand you, you understand them, and you can use the written language to make yourself even more understood, then I think you are speaking dialects of the same language.
So as he said, if two ways of speaking are mutually comprehensible, this means that they are dialects of the same language. By this interpretation, this means that Bisaya and Tagalog are definitely not dialects, but simply their own different languages. And then you could also say the same for the other dialects of the Philippines that aren't actually dialects, they're languages. And it's a shame that people do call these languages, because it really undermines how diverse the Philippines is linguistically. And it's really impressive how many Filipinos speak different local languages from their country. I think people don't realise how intelligent they are for being able to do that, even if it's something they just pick up naturally. If you only spoke Tagalog, you would not understand Bisaya, and if you only spoke Bisaya, you would not understand Tagalog. All the other languages of the Philippines are also not mutually understandable with each other. So just as an experiment to see how little of each other's languages Filipinos will understand, I've got Joanna, who is a Bicolana, so marunong ka mag Bicol, Rinconada, which is different to Bicol, and then syempre Tagalog, English, and then marunong ako mag Tagalog, and then English, tapos dikit na Bicol, which is just a bit of Bicol, and then we've got my maikling kwento sa Bisaya. It's actually a kindergarten story, so it's quite simple. I'm going to see if we can understand really any of this, just to show how different this language would be compared to the ones that we know. So I'll let you read it.
Okay. Si Kiko A few moments later.
Adunay. Adunay usa ka iro. Hindi ko alam anong adunay. Feeling ko alam ko ang usa. Alam ko din ang iro. So
Yeah, but if we just read through this, like how much of this do we understand?
Tambukon, abtikon.
So basically we can just pick out, you could possibly pick out odd words and then try and guess, but for all we know this could be a language that comes from Indonesia, because we don't really recognise much of it at all, just the odd words. So,
And normally I can guess, but with this one, there are like words here that doesn't make sense.
so to call this a
Clueless.
dialect of a language that we know would be wrong because it's completely different. So just because it comes from the same country as the languages that Joanna knows, and one of the languages that I know, doesn't make it a dialect of these languages. If this language came from Indonesia, we'll definitely call it a different language. So we can definitely say that Tagalog, Bicol and Bisaya are all different languages because the spelling is different, the words are different, and even the grammar can be a bit different as well, can't it?
Kind of, I guess.
Yeah, well, we don't really know. Now, some of these languages in the Philippines will have similarities with each other, but that doesn't make them dialects. They're still different languages. A good example would be like the difference between Swedish and Norwegian. They have similarities, but they are different languages. And just because you speak Swedish doesn't mean that you could understand Norwegian. It'll be an easy language for you to learn because of how similar it is. And it's the same with the Philippines. It's the same with Visaya and Tagalog. Just because they're from the same country doesn't mean that they should be called dialects. The Philippines does still have dialects, so an example could be in Batangas. The Tagalog that they speak is slightly different to the Tagalog that is spoken in Metro Manila. They have their own Tagalog dialect in Batangas. And then also, if you look at Bicol language, in Naga City they would speak a different Bicol to what they speak in Albay. They can mostly understand each other, they're the same language but different dialects of Bicol. And also in northern parts of Bicol, it's got more of an influence from Tagalog, and then in southern parts of Bicol, the Bicol language has more influence from Bisaya. But it's still Bicol, but just a different dialect of Bicol. So the Philippines has both languages and dialects. Even in the same region in the Philippines, you could have different languages. In the middle of Bicol, you've got Rinconada, which is its own separate language. It's not just a dialect of Bicol, it's its own different language. It's not like Bicol spoken in Albay compared to Naga City. They're simply dialects of the same language, but then Rinconada is a different language. And there are many languages like this in the Philippines that are really unique to each other. You've also got Chabacano in Zamboanga City, which is the only Spanish Creole spoken in Asia. It's really special how the Philippines has all these different languages, and we should recognize these as languages. And it's important that we don't just call these dialects. So let's spread the message that the Philippines has lots of languages, also has lots of dialects too. It's kind of got both. I hope you found this interesting and enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe as well if you're not already. It really helps out this channel a lot. Feel free to click the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.